um dia eu vou bora pintar umas entre vazamento. Então, é isso. Espero que vocês gostem. Bora lá. Vou fazer um teste. Quero ver como que vai ficar, se vai zoar muito. Vou fazer um teste. Quero ver como que vai ficar, se vai zoar muito. Ah, falar com vocês. Ah, falar com vocês. Falar com vocês.
No, it's not creepy at all.
A live fica.
Guys, thanks so much for being here. I love that trailer. It's really fun. Really fun stuff. Yeah. It seems to me by using that song in the trailer, you're injecting a little bit of humor into the franchise now. Franchise has always had a little bit of it, but not in that way. What brought that about? Is that just the trailer, or did you try to put that into the movie this time around as well?
It's more the trailer. I mean, we didn't really want to just make another Saw movie, so we really revamped this as far as the look, the color, the sound, a lot of new characters. So for us, it's outside, which has never been a Saw movie. It's a little less claustrophobic, and so we kind of wanted to give people something a little different in the trailer than just straight bam, bam, bam.
But there's very much a sarcastic
O Chrome, o Opera tá muito pequenininho, mas é isso aí.
now there's
voltar à entrevista. O foda é que a entrevista tá tão baixa. Aí se aumenta o volume, mas daí a propaganda tá 4 vezes mais alta.
No, it's not creepy at all.
Guys, thanks so much for being here. I love that trailer. It's really fun. Really
So do we.
fun stuff. Yeah. It seems to me by using that song in the trailer, you're injecting a little bit of humor into the franchise now. Franchise has always had a little bit of it, but not in that way. What brought that about? Is that just the trailer, or did you try to put that into the movie this time around as well?
It's more the trailer. I mean, we didn't really want to just make another Saw movie, so we really revamped this as far as the look, the color, the sound, a lot of new characters. So for us, it's outside, which has never been a Saw movie. It's a little less claustrophobic, and so we kind of wanted to give people something a little different in the trailer than just straight bam, bam, bam.
But there's very much a sarcastic tone to the movie. I mean, there is more humor than we've never had any humor. So now there's I don't know if you want to call it tongue-in-cheek humor, but it's kind of there's some laughs.
Well, Jigsaw's always been a kind of a boogeyman who likes to play, obviously, with his victims in the same way that the classic boogeymen of like Krueger like to do. It seems that it would make sense to inject even more of a sense of humor for him.
Well, Jigsaw never killed anybody, never put anybody in a trap that really didn't deserve to be there.
Yeah.
So,
Tobin, what brings you back? What made you want to come back to Jigsaw?
That's one of the elements that Mark is talking about. What? Oh, yeah. that Mark is talking about. There's a layer in Saw movies that I think fascinates fans. Because each of the films make you think at different points in time, and even if it's one line or several lines that all of a sudden juxtaposed against the intensity and the chaos that's going on in a Saw film, there's a thought or an idea that I think fans relate to and makes people think. And every time I talk to fans, they want to talk about those elements. That it's a testament to the writers and to the people that put the films together that those elements are there. Started with James Wan and Lee Wanell in number one.
Well, let's go back to the beginning. What did you think when you first got cast in Saw?
I thought the same thing I always think, which is do the best job that you can do, and there were fascinating elements to it. Not the least of which, how many people have seen Saw 1? Okay, so I can talk.
let's be honest. Didn't Tobin do a great job of playing dead?
Yes.
All right. I mean,
Wait, we have one question. Because every once in a while, someone will say to us, "Oh, I knew he was alive." Did anyone really know that he was alive and going to stand up? Thank you. Because when people say that to me, sometimes I'm like, "Come on."
Yeah.
Like, we forgot he was there.
exactly. I think he laid.
I want to say one thing really quickly. We already had the prosthetic for his head being blown off, or the prosthetic he wore in Saw 1. We offered to have him to build a dummy because we didn't want him to have to sit on the complete concrete floor, no pad, for 6 days.
It was cold. It was dirty. It was
awful.
Yeah.
And I mean, you've all seen that bathroom. I mean, and
We didn't clean it.
and Tobin literally said, "No, I want to. Well, I don't want to." So we argued. We said, "No, you don't have to do it. You can come up in the appropriate time." And Tobin,
I didn't opt for that because if John Kramer has been lying there for 4 hours or however long it takes for an hour and a half or whatever it is, actually he was there longer than from the beginning of the film. He was there for maybe an hour before that. So let's say he's there for 3 hours. If I have to get up convincingly at the end of this period with what would happen to your body after 3 hours, of lying in the same position on the floor, I wanted to be able to get up in a believable way. So I continued to lie there so I would have suffered enough over the period of the film that when I got up, it would be reflected in my body. And I worked hard to do that. And then thank you, James Wan, because James came to me after the first time I got up off the floor, and he said, a little more of how you would, so I just added a little bit more to it, and that's the take that they used, and I can see it, that kind of stiffness, you know, that it's not just get up and take the thing off, it's how you get up. And so that's why I wanted to, I said, no, shit, no, I'm lying on that floor because this is my moment and I better do it well, you know.
And that's why he's here.
When you guys made the first Saw, did you have a franchise in mind already?
Pagando é 3 vezes mais alto.
Come on.
We just want to get our money back.
Yes. But yes, the short answer or the long answer is absolutely not. We didn't have a clue.
The guy, you know.
We didn't even have a sequel deal, which actually turned out to be the best thing in the world.
Why is that?
Because
Then they really wanted one and there was no deal.
No, it
Nobody
wasn't
thought there was a sequel
nobody
to the
thought
movie.
There was a sequel to the movie. So we did a simple one-picture deal with Lionsgate. I'm sure some business affairs person got fired, but and eventually after Sundance and Toronto Film Festival and before it was released, they came to us and said, "You guys got to start thinking of another one." So
now the last one Saw 3D was 2010, right?
Yep.
So it's been 7 years since the last Saw film.
7 and 7, and then 7 years off.
7 and 7 and 7 years off. Wow.
Yeah.
And now, what made you want to come back after 7 years off? Or was that the plan? 7 and 7 and then 7 years off?
No.
No, we met with a bunch of writers through the years, and every now and then we'd kind of call each other up and say, you know, should we do another one? And we couldn't come up with a good idea. We didn't have anything, and then these two writers came to Oren and pitched him an idea for Saw, and then Oren called me up and he goes, "You got to hear this." And literally, it was that good an idea with as big a twist at the end as Saw 1.
And that was our goal. Just, you know, we loved Saw 1, and we felt we did 7 and 7 years, and we were really rushed because they wouldn't greenlight the next movie until the one previous had come out. So all of a sudden it's Thanksgiving, and then you roll into Christmas, and we're like, oh man, we got to go make another movie. We don't have a script, we don't have an actor, and we just really...
And it's coming out in 10 months.
Yeah, and we had to deliver the film, so that was an extra month earlier compared to now. So long story short is, we had the luxury of time, and someone brought us an idea, and we decided to put the gang back together. But for us, the greatest luxury was we had time to get a great cast, to get we weren't rushing.
Great directors as well. You guys were able to nab some really fantastic directors.
That was based on that idea. Very early on, the Spirigs came on, and I don't know if any of you guys have seen Daybreakers. I mean, a great movie. And
Predestination's a really, really smart film. You have to see it twice to understand it. It's really cool.
So anyway, so kind of the momentum of an idea and then an outline, and then the Spirigs put us into a different level mentally too. We were just ready to go. But the greatest pleasure we had was time to go make it right.
Let's get a little sick. What's your favorite death scene from the movies? Obviously, you can't say anything in this one, but what's your favorite death scene?
The word favorite, let's
favorite
just stop right there, you know, because John, he doesn't think in those terms, and so, but I will tell you that in terms of, I like the situations where people's karma comes back to greet them, and where you find that, in fact, you do reap what you sow, perhaps. I mean, the whole issue of whether karma exists or doesn't exist is a big issue in Saw films. And you can go one way or the other with it. And that's one of the other things that make people think when they watch these films. So I like the scenes where it's clear that people have come back to what they created in their lives, and I think there's an element of truth in that. I think most people do.
I like the scene in Saw 3D where the rods go through her eyes.
It was the one I was going to pick.
Okay.
Guys, what about you?
He uses the word like. You know, for me it was favorite.
My probably favorite one, and the one I think about the most, is I think one of the simplest ones we ever did is the needle pit, where Amanda goes in the pit and comes out with all the needles stuck to her. I mean, it's the simplest, to understand, but it's the one that just makes me cringe the worst.
Yeah, and it made Shawnee Smith, who played Amanda, it was so clearly developed what her malady was, and the fact that she had to go into that pit, you could see how difficult it was for her. She played that scene really well.
I like them all. I think maybe Donnie Wahlberg getting crushed in the head with the ice blocks was kind of cool way of going. But we have some really good ones in this upcoming movie that we kind of sat around a table at a restaurant, myself and the writers, and I think we scared the crap out of all the people around us, because people kind of listening in like, well, should we kill him with water? Should we kill him with fire? How do you think we should
Also get excited,
Yeah, everybody.
No, wait. What if this happens? And literally, we're in a crowded little Italian restaurant in Los Angeles. I'm surprised the cops didn't come.
Yeah.
We probably sat for 3 or 4 double servings and just.
About 15 minutes, all the tables around us cleared out. It was kind of cool.
So how often were you guys taking pitches over the last 7 years for potentially coming back to Saw?
All of us were doing it separately. Jason Constantine, Nita Cohen at Lionsgate. Every once in a while, an agent would call and say, "Oh, I have a client who said they have a great time." We kind of put it out there.
Probably between us all, probably 100.
This was the one that really grabbed you. What was it about this pitch? Like what did they say? How did they pitch it?
What Mark and I started, and I think I got myself sidetracked. One of the things we really wanted to do was bring it back to Saw 1. One of the most exciting things for me ever was to sit. We were on the side of the stage when we were testing the movie, and when Tobin stood up, people literally went like, "What?" I mean, they literally got out of their seats, and we were at the side of the stage in Las Vegas in this little theater. So for me, I said, we really lost that. I don't know how to, just the whoa of a twist just makes you think, and you'll be driving home going, "Wow, wait, so if this is this, and this is this," and it's kind of like The Usual Suspects ending, or where all of a sudden he's walking down the street. So for us, we wanted to get back to the moment where Tobin stood up, not in him standing up again, but in that kind of. So we wanted an ending that made you say, "Oh shit."
And kind of a, not to be corny here, but kind of a jigsaw as well, something that people are trying to put together as they're going home.
That's what I mean. When they're leaving, but I want people to, and I say, we want people to leave the theater talking, going, "Wait, so if the X is Y and Y is Z, then is E," and so all of a sudden they came to the idea with a twist that I literally couldn't wait to call Mark.
We get to the end of this movie, and we've read so many things online based on the trailer and photographs and stuff that's come out.
Yeah, don't believe Reddit.
About stuff that, the ending is this, the ending is that. Nobody's even close yet.
But we take it as a compliment. There's all these sites that will take the trailer, and what you guys just saw, and there's some still photos, and then there's our composer did an interview in some composing magazine that has some cues that he says something and some words, and so everyone thinks they have the movie. Like all these sites that have been sending us, this is what the movie is. No one's close, and I mean that truthfully. So.
Tobin, what made you want to return as Jigsaw?
He's a big guy, He's got.
Obrigado, YouTube, por deixar.
Huge dimension as a character. He's a bit of a philosopher, a bit of a theologian, a trained mechanical engineer, an architect. He reads a lot. He has a multiplicity of interests. He's kind of Lear-like in his dimension. And whenever you can play a character like that over seven films now, 8, it's a marvelous thing. It doesn't happen that often. And I'm excited about the idea of millennials, many of whom were too young to come to the theater 7 years ago. We're going to have our old fans plus a whole host of new fans who are going to bring an awareness of what the world is today, which is different than what it was 7 years ago, to this movie, which is, I think, going to be huge.
We work with the writers for weeks, months, getting the script, and the scariest time for Orrin and myself is when we have to send the script to Tobin, because he's like, I'm interested, but I'm not going to commit just yet. And it's like, man, I hope he likes it. I hope he says yes, because how do you do a movie without Tobin part of it, whether he's in it or his voice or flashback or flash forward or a video? There's always got to be something of him in this. And then he'll say, yeah, I'm in, but, and then Tobin will spend the next couple
Where's
weeks.
my dance scene?
Yeah, exactly. And then he'll come in rewriting all of his dialogue.
Just so you know, the majority of his dialogue and all of his, and I'm going to call them romantically soliloquies, are
100%.
he writes them all.
100%.
He absolutely writes them all.
Really?
Yeah.
When did that start? On the first movie, or did that start
He
later?
didn't have any, no.
Any lines in the first?
2, maybe 3.
Yeah,
know,
it
he knows
started.
the
With,
character better than
it started with 2.
Yeah.
Because I was working with Donnie Wahlberg, and Donnie had this very strong sense of truth, what he would say and what he wouldn't say, and he would say,
Such a Boston guy.
yeah. So, Donnie and I, we had some time before we had to shoot. They were still working in the house. And so we had 7 days, something like that. And so we had time to rework those lines that took place where Donnie would go out of the room and he'd come back into the room. And we just were able to make it, fill it with more tension, make it more cat and mouse between he and I, and also gave me an opportunity to say some things to him that were on John Kramer's mind, and give some sort of raison d'etre to what he was after, what he was thinking about, and that was very cool to have that opportunity.
Better than a writer we've hired. I mean, he knows this character. He's lived this character.
Well, I got to give credit to James Wan and Lee Warnell, because some of the concepts were there in Saw 1. Appreciate Your Life was there in Saw 1, and that's the concept that most people really relate.
But like, just hearing him talk for 20 minutes, would you not have him write his own stuff? I mean, listen to him. He's better than a writer we've hired. I mean, he knows this character. He's lived this character for 14 years.
Well, I got to give credit to James Wan and Lee Warnell, because some of the concepts were there in Saw 1. Appreciate Your Life was there in Saw 1, and that's the concept that most people really relate to, and things like the treatment of the terminally ill by the medical community, that was there in Saw 1. It comes back in Saw 6. So a lot of the themes keep coming back, and those are things that are on people's minds subconsciously. So when all of a sudden they come out in the film like that, people go, oh, that's what. And that's always rewarding, to have a chance to create that kind of music.
You were raising the microphone. Sorry. Did you guys call this one Jigsaw to sort of separate it from the original sequence of films just a little bit, and kind of like you can see this?
Still, there's Saw in it, but Jigsaw, it looks different, sounds different, feels different. Is it a Saw movie? Yeah, it's Saw on steroids, is what this is.
I thought Saw was on steroids. What do you mean this is Saw on steroids?
This takes the entire franchise up a notch.
But we really wanted, we didn't want people, the reason we didn't make one for a long time is we didn't want, a lot of people would come pitch us Saw 8. We didn't want to make Saw 8. We just had no, then we didn't have interest. We wanted it to be different. We wanted to be in that milieu. We wanted to be in that world. We wanted it to be a Saw movie, but we wanted, and it's like that thing you don't know until you don't know what you're looking for until you see it. We heard so many different stories, and we were like, no, and then all of a sudden we were like, yes, and we wanted to make a Saw movie, but just didn't want to make Saw 8. If that makes any sense.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
That makes perfect sense. Let's get some questions from the audience. This man has a microphone and a Comic-Con shirt on, so I think he's gonna have a good question.
So when you're coming up with the story and the characters, do you know how they're gonna die, or do you plan that out during making the characters, or does that come later?
Depends how nice they are. No.
No, what we do is we come up with the story, right? The script, the story, the ideas, and we'll kind of put death, and the last thing we come up with are the traps.
We really work, and I know, and hopefully you guys appreciate this. You go to a movie and you see a scene, and you leave. We keep talking about leaving the movie because you're talking about, like, that could never happen. Or what if that guy died there? How is he? And I don't want to disparage any movie. We really try to do logic. We really try to sit and talk about is us and the writers and everyone, the logic part. The logic. We can always figure out a way to do a cool trap. We can always do a way to do. Charlie Clouser from Nine Inch Nails does the most amazing music. So our job is so that you guys don't think you got ripped off. Going, I can't believe they did that. How could they do that? So we really, really try to do logic first. I mean, a great story, then where it makes sense with all our little twists and turns, and then they start adding color. So I know we did a horrible job of answering your question.
Next question.
How is everyone?
Hello.
So, Jigsaw is very methodical and philosophical. What's his psychological process like while he's executing everything?
Imagine poder criar o que quiser. Só
What's his psychological process like while he's executing everything?
Oren just used the word logic, and I try to, you're talking about John's psychological process. I ask myself a series of questions about what does he mean by what he says? I mean, I ask myself, who am I, where am I, what do I want, when do I want it, and how am I going to get it? And I ask myself that in every single situation, and I answer those questions. And there's always a very simple logic, although someone may behave in a sort of strange way. If you carefully examine even the most illogical kind of behavior, there's a simple logic to it. And I always want to know what I mean by what I say, and that can get very, very detailed. So I spend a lot of time asking myself those questions, and when I ask myself, who am I, where am I, for example, that's the first question, where am I? All right, so that's the first question. It's at the bottom of an inverse triangle pyramid. And so I say, where am I? And I go, Portland, Oregon. I'll just pick a place, all right? So there's the answer, but that opens up two questions. What part of Portland? Downtown Portland? Suburban Portland? That opens up four questions. 4 becomes 8, 8 becomes 16, 16 becomes 32. By the time you shoot, you'd haven't answered all the questions about what he means by that particular line. You haven't answered all the questions, so you hope you've answered enough of the questions. Maybe I'm up to 64 or 128. But the pyramid just keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And by the time you shoot, you haven't answered all the questions, but hopefully you've answered enough. I've answered enough so that I don't go mad playing.
Are you Jigsaw in real life?
Of course. Of course.
You don't want to get too close to him.
Yeah.
That sounded like a riddle you would hear.
No, well, in
Did that
fact,
answer your question, by the way?
yeah.
That was definitely a more interesting answer.
Yeah. Well,
I'm curious, like, so, I mean, you just asked, you would say that you have a lot of parallels then?
Oh, absolutely. I'm very detailed, or so is he. I'm very committed. So is he. There are certain so when you say that to me, I agree with Mark. I'm keeping him out there, but absolutely, one of the ways you make a character most convincing is to draw him as close to yourself as you possibly can, and that's what makes acting such a fascinating and magical experience.
Wasn't that also how it makes acting a bit, I don't want to use the word easy, but I mean, when you say, how is this character
Colocar esses
like
daqui
me?
pra
These are the
secar.
things
Ai,
that
vou
I
pegar
know
mais, já vem.
about me. Like, these are the things that I know how to present about myself.
Yes, but it's one thing. It's one thing to you want to find the things that draw you closest to the character, but it's never easy to be. I have 7 or 8 tapes going off in my head when I'm acting, all at the same time. What do the producers want? What does the lighting guy want? Don't step in that guy's light. The sound guy says, don't tap on the table, even though it's a great thing you're doing while you're saying your lines. What did the director just ask me to do? What are my lines? How do I relate to the person that I'm acting with? I have all these tape recordings going off in my head. It's never easy to act when there's 60 people standing around and you're trying to make something happen like it's happening for the first time, and it's actually happening for the 30th time. So acting is not easy.
But be honest, you really care what Oren and myself care about most, right?
Because I know these guys are sitting in the other room going, I remember Saw 3. We were trying to shoot a scene, and Shawnee and I are talking about, does she take the gun out of the back of the small of her back or not? And Mark came into the room, and Darren's trying to be patient, and Mark's like, listen, we got to get this scene, and we got to get it now. So, yes.
Like, we're going into overtime. We're leaving. Figure it out and shoot it.
Yeah,
all right, we're done.
That's where he was coming from, because that's what producers do. They get things done on time. So actors are also thinking about that. So acting is a multiple.
We got Tobin and Shawnee spending 20 minutes trying to figure out if the gun's in the left pocket or the right pocket.
Yeah.
And I'm going like, really? Like, come on, guys.
Yeah. I said.
Shoot one side each.
Exactly.
The argument was about, do you take the gun out prematurely? She wanted to take the gun out.
É muita.
I said, don't take it out until you're going to use it. And so that's what we were talking about.
Now you see our dilemma.
I think we have time for one more question right here.
Hi, Tobin. I wanted to ask, what do you think has been the most rewarding thing that you've gained from Jigsaw? So what has Tobin gotten from Jigsaw?
YouTube deixando a gente surdo. Eu já reportei. Essas propagandas é muito alta, porque o que eu tô ouvindo, ele é baixíssimo. Aí a propaganda vem e deixa a gente.
That's a good question. Stumped him. Look at it.
Having the opportunity to work over a long period of time with a team and trying
Na
to
bateria do meu
contribute in every way that you can without, there's a lot of parts to filmmaking. And I've had a chance to work with the studio, with Lionsgate, because of the role that Jigsaw has in the franchise. And I've never really had to work with a studio before, and so I've got to see the different parts of the studio and how studios work, and working with different writers, different directors, different locations, on different schedules.
Que bom que o corpo dele é preto, porque daí dá pra corrigir facinho.
Window into filmmaking that I wouldn't have had just as an actor coming and doing the role that actors do, and then you go home and you see the movie eventually. I've had a much more of an integrated opportunity to be part of the whole picture. So that's a remarkable experience for an actor.
It's like a 14-year relationship for us. When we started shooting right around now,
2003.
14 years ago.
It's unbelievable. And do you guys feel like you want to make more after this too?
we're superstitious. We've never talked about or thought about the next movie until that movie opens.
But you don't want to be put in another situation where you've got like 9 months to get the movie out there.
It's going to
right?
happen. Because we won't talk about it until October 28th.
It's fine. It's a different. It's so much easier now. I mean, I'm just saying, technology-wise, it's so much easier to shoot and to. We'd be fine.
Oh, really? Than to make a movie 7, 8 years ago?
Well, or 13 years ago, or 12 years ago. I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, shooting 3D back then was so hard. Not that we wouldn't do 3D again, but.
Why is that?
You know, I think the style of Saw, which is a lot of close, a lot of fast, is the exact opposite of what they want in 3D. They want it really long and really big depth of field, and you hold on to that so you can see this. And we tried, and the process for us, it's the antithesis of the way we shoot and the way people want to see our movies, and the way 3D should be shot correctly. But I mean, it was a great process, and it's really cool, but it's just not the way we do it.
Well, guys, Jigsaw comes out on Halloween, right?
October 27th.
October 27th.
October 27th.
Congratulations on the 8th Saw movie now called Jigsaw.
You have the same play a game. You know, if you take a role in a film and you have one line, you have the same obligation and responsibility to understand exactly what the history of that character is that leads to that one line, and as he proceeds forward from that one line, it's going to give the line its meaning. And depending on what kind of an actor you are or want to be, hopefully you have filled that line with who you are and where you are and what you want and when you want it and how you're going to get it.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter whether you have a part as long as Hamlet or you have one line. At least I do. I want to know where I'm coming from. And if I hadn't done that my entire career, I would have gone mad by now, saying lines that I didn't know what they meant. Key to that chain is in the bathtub. I do think that the layer that runs through this film, which is of course filled with scary moments, twists and turns, horrifying, bloody, groundbreaking because of the fans' reaction, horror fans' reaction to it. At that point in time, because I was not a fan of horror, didn't know much about horror, nor did I know anything about horror fans. I've been very impressed with the dedication that horror fans have toward the genre as compared to every other genre. So I knew the power of the material, and when Saw 1 was as successful as it was, I thought, and then they went on to do 2. I thought, there's an opportunity here to do something special.
Yeah.
And so at around that time, I began to think the dimensions of this character and the material is unlimited in a certain way. So if it's done well, there might be a 3, you know. And so.
Gente, eu vou fazer uma pausa pro almoço, mas eu vou deixar a live rodando aí, só que eu vou deixar no já volto. Vou desligar não.
And when it's done well, it can last. And then you combine that
E
with
pintar os 12
and their dedication and their interest
metade.
and their attachment to the genre, and you got some
Até
longevity.
daqui a pouco, gente.
It
Bom
really
almoço pra
is
você.
up to the viewer to decide based
Vou colocar um já volto.
hopefully you have what the history of that character is that leads to that one line, and as he proceeds forward from that one line, it's going to give the line its meaning. And depending on what kind of an actor you are or want to be, hopefully you have filled that line with who you are and where you are and what you want and when you want it and how you're going to get it.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter whether you have a part as long as Hamlet or you have one line. At least I do. I want to know where I'm coming from. And if I hadn't done that my entire career, I would have gone mad by now, saying lines that I didn't know what they meant.
Key to that chain is in the bathtub.
I do think that the layer that runs through this film, which is of course filled with scary moments, twists and turns, horrifying, bloody, violent, whatever you want to call it, there's a layer throughout it that gives it a raison d'etre. And I think that people appreciate that. People who love drama, it's a time-honored aspect of drama, character and relationship. And so, yes, I think that has helped give the Saw films longevity. I knew that the Saw film, the way it was originally written by James and executed by him, was groundbreaking because of the fans' reaction, horror fans' reaction to it. At that point in time, because I was not a fan of horror, didn't know much about horror, nor did I know anything about horror fans. I've been very impressed with the dedication that horror fans have toward the genre as compared to every other genre. So I knew the power of the material, and when Saw 1 was as successful as it was, I thought, and then they went on to do 2. I thought, there's an opportunity here to do something special.
Yeah.
And so at around that time, I began to think the dimensions of this character and the material is unlimited in a certain way. So if it's done well, there might be a 3, you know? And so, yeah, somewhere in that zone, I wasn't thinking about this, but you feel the power of something. And when it's done well, it can last. And then you combine that with horror fans and their dedication and their interest and their attachment to the genre, and you got some longevity. It really is up to the viewer to decide, based on the events and the acts that take place, whether he's a villain or not. When they hire me to play John Kramer, they don't need me to play a villainous character, because the events in the film tell that story. And you can decide yourself, is this right? Would I do this myself? Is this wrong? Is this criminal? Is this a person who's in a world where no one's committed to anything? They complain a lot but don't do anything. Is this a person who does something about? So all of this goes on in the mind of the viewer.
what the director and writers need me to do is to bring his humanity to him and to bring him alive in that way. I'm going to still walk over and pick that pencil up that's on that table, which is in the script, or pick up the knife, or whatever it is. That is visual, and you can make your own judgment about it. But what they need is for me to fill in something that is alive from moment to moment, and that reads as happening for the first time. And so when I had the opportunity in Saw 2 to work with Donnie Wahlberg, and Donnie and I spent a good deal of time working on those scenes, we had a chance to create a relationship and a cat and mouse game that really revealed what kind of person John was and how committed he was. And I give Donnie a lot of credit for that, because he has a very strong sense of truth, and so he was a great partner in that way.
We both know the sort of person you are, sir.
Get out of here.
The sort of person who guns down an unarmed suspect. That's the sort of person who plants evidence in order to obtain a conviction. The sort of person whose wife leaves him and whose son hates him.
Shut the fuck up!
In Hollywood, they don't know. You know, that's surprising. I mean, that people who are huge experts on marketing and demographics and box office and all of those kinds of things, they get surprised all the time. So I just have happened to be part of this surprise, which is a great thing. But that's a nice surprise. It's because so much of what happens in the business that we're in is kind of formula approaches to things, and some things are some material is no, we're not going to do that. That's not selling, you know. So I applaud those who take risks on things they truly believe in, and think that there's an opportunity here to break new ground, and not necessarily to just keep sticking with the same old thing. We're in a period of time now where a lot of resources are put into big blockbusters, like the Captain America films and things of this sort. And there's a place for those too. But independent film is struggling from a point of view of finance and resources, and so as a surprise, I love to remind those who think they know that they could be surprised, and so I give a lot of encouragement and support to those who are trying to carve their own path, because Saw has been able to do that.
Only in theaters. Only 1 week.
He held me.
If it's Halloween, it must be Saw.
Live or die. Make your choice.
In theaters starting 10 p.m. Thursday, October 30th.
é mais bela do que eu.
Há uma garota. A sua beleza vem de seu coração. Branca de Neve.
Podem apontar a direção certa?
Perdão, minha querida. Eu assustei você?